Hey, welcome back, guys and girls. Let's talk about frame stippling. I just got this beauty back from Jordan from TriStar Customs. This is the 17 I've been carrying all year. I really love aggressive texturing, and I had this talon granulant on it, but and I know I've said in other videos how much I love the aggressive texturing, and that I didn't mind that it was tearing at my shirts, and I didn't, but the talon, this aggressive talon grip, which I love, I really do love this, is keeping me from carrying certain types of shirts. So on the weekends, if I'm wanting to go out wearing a polo, all right, like a dry fit material, I wasn't able to do it. And so he had done this basket weave on this Glock 19 with this double undercut, and really like it, but it's just not aggressive enough. This is just fantastic for carrying, but through my years of shooting, I've decided that the most aggressive I can get is what I want, right? So, and this is not the most aggressive, obviously, and this is not the most aggressive, and this probably isn't the most aggressive. The most aggressive is going to be silicone carbide. And I've done that. I did that to a Smith & Wesson M&P 1.0. Really liked it, but I don't have that gun anymore, and I just haven't done it to any of my other guns since. So I was running that competition class a few weekends ago, and one of the guys had a 45 with, I don't remember who did it was a microburst, which is like one of the most aggressive stippling patterns. And he let me handle it, and I really liked it. And he told me that it wasn't snagging on his shirts. So I called Jordan, asked him if he had a aggressive texturing, and he said, "Yes, sir. I've got this one right here." So let's talk about why you might want stippling over the really aggressive granulant grip tape. And there are a couple reasons, all right? Number one is that you're getting an aggressive texture. So this right here, this is what he calls his Asper pattern, is very aggressive. As you're holding it, it's not, it feels like almost like it could be slick, but once you actually start gripping into it, that's when it bites into your hands. So as I was shooting today, I noticed it's not as aggressive as this. All right, and if I were to run competitions, when I plan on running competitions, the ones that I would compete in, you're not allowed to have permanent grip or frame. You're not allowed to have permanent frame modifications. This is not permanent, so you could use grip tape. But this is my carry gun, and I really wanted something that was as aggressive as I could get it, but would not grab my shirt. So if you're looking for something that is more aggressive than your standard stippling or your standard the standard frame texturing, this is definitely the way to go. Now, if you're not familiar with the patterns, you'll want to ask whoever's doing the stippling what they would suggest. Something like this basket weave right here is a lot less aggressive. It's still good texturing. I was running this the other day after we did after my buddy and I traded guns. Like, he picked the gun that I ran drills with, and then I picked the one he did, because this 17 was getting stippled. I was using this 19 as my carry, and I was running drills with this, and it shoots great. It's not snappy. It helps a lot with the snappiness, but it's just not as aggressive. So when I was talking with him, I went with the most aggressive texturing he had, which was this one. But if you're getting planning on going with stippling and you're not sure what you want, you're going to want to, number one, kind of research it and go online, check out what patterns they have. In the case of Jordan at TriStar Customs, if you're interested, you can go onto his Instagram page at TriStar Customs, and he has tons and tons of pictures, and he'll talk about each one of the texture patterns, what it's good for, the advantages and disadvantages of each. So I would recommend just going on and researching that, right? The other thing, to me, what I also like about stippling, one of the second pros, is that it's permanent. So with this, I'll never have to worry about, I might have to clean it, but I'll never have to worry about it starting to fade on me. I'll never have to worry with this. For example, with this Talon grips, after about a year or two of this, it's not as aggressive anymore. So I'll typically take it off and put another one on. With this, it's permanent. It'll always be there. And it doesn't matter how much you shoot. This texturing will always be there. So that to me is one of the advantages of stippling over something like a grip tape, is that it is permanently in there. Now, some people would call that one of the disadvantages of stippling. So it just sort of depends on what you're looking for. If you are using a gun that you maybe will be trading in and out, you might not want to go with something that's permanent. But if it's a carry gun that you really, really like I really, really like this Glock 17, we'll be carrying this, probably going to have this gun for the rest of my life, I would assume. Plan on carrying it. I've got another gun, like I know I've told you guys, I've got another gun that I'm buying at the end of the year. Should have it paid off in December, and I'm going to be running it next year. But this gun will probably go back into the rotation depending on how much I like that one. This one will probably go back into the rotation the following year. All right. So you've got a permanent texturing job. And the nice thing about this, another one of the advantages, is that this is not going to snag your shirts. You're getting good texturing without snagging your shirts or fraying your shirts or ripping the little holes that you get in your shirts. All right, that's not going to do this. This is aggressive to shoot, but when you carry it, and I carried it all weekend with polo shirts, drop fit shirts, all right, it doesn't snag. So that was my main goal when I sent it off to Jordan to get it stippled, was I wanted something aggressive enough that it was going to take away some of the snappiness when I shoot and give me a good solid master grip that's not going to go, but I could still carry it without having to worry about it snagging on my shirts. And ultimately, guys, before I go into some of the disadvantages of stippling, my recommendation is that when you decide to go with stippling, know what you want. Know if you want something a little aggressive, not aggressive at all, like this basket weave. This is very good texturing, but this is just not aggressive. There's nothing that's going to hurt if you're somebody who's sensitive to, especially with this grip tape. Now, the nice thing about the grip tape is that there's lots of different textures that you can get. All right, so you can try them, figure out what you like, and then switch it. Well, with stippling, you need to know what you want, because one of the disadvantages, which is also one of the advantages, this is permanent. Once you get it done, you cannot adjust it. Now, I say that's not necessarily true, because a good stippling professional can go back and re-stipple that, but kind of sand it down and then re-stipple it, but that's just not good for the integrity of the frame. So it's not recommended. But if you've ever seen Reddit, you've seen some terrible stipple jobs, and professionals can fix that. So maybe I should say semi-permanent. Once you get it, you're not going to be changing it most likely. All right, so that's an advantage, but also a disadvantage. So if you know what you want, it's going to be a lot safer getting this done than if you don't know what you want, right? So basket weave, not aggressive. Microburst, this is his Asper pattern, very aggressive, right? Another disadvantage is that once you get it done, you might decide that it's not aggressive enough or too aggressive. So you're mostly stuck with that, and that's why it's important to know what it is that you want ahead of time. Go online, do some research, figure out, talk to the person doing the texturing, the stippling, and ask them what their recommendations are. And they will give you a few options. And then you can go back, look and see what those patterns look like, and then just kind of go from there. That would be my recommendation if you're thinking about stippling. Another option would be to try some of the grip tape first, figure out if you like aggressive or more aggressive, less aggressive, and then that will give you an idea when you go for stippling what to go with. And then the last thing I want to talk about as far as disadvantages go is that when you stipple the frame versus using grip tape. When I use grip tape, the grip tape adds circumference to the frame. So if you've got large hands, once you stipple this, you're not getting the full size of the frame like you would with the grip tape. I don't know if that makes sense, if I'm explaining that well. When you add tape, if you have large hands like me, this adds size to the frame. When you stipple it, you lose that size. So if you have large hands, you're gonna wanna know if I'm taking the grip tape off the frame, am I still good with shooting that frame? Is that going to affect your grip any? Is that going to make it harder to get a good master grip when you're drawing? And so that is one thing to think about. And the reason I say that is because I enjoyed having the extra circumference with the grip tape that the grip tape gave me. And then when I went to shoot this one, I thought, man, this thing's a little bit smaller in my hands. Well, it wasn't. It's still the factory size. Maybe it is a little bit smaller. I mean, they are smoothing out this before they stipple it. So maybe it is just a little bit smaller, probably not noticeable. But if you're used to the size that you get with the grip tape, because it does add some size to the frame, gives you a little bit more room to put your hand, you're going to want to take that into account, because you're going to get that back and you're going to say, well, that doesn't feel as big as it was. You know, maybe possibly the gun feels a little bit smaller than it did when you were using it with the grip tape. At least that was what happened with me when I went to shoot this. I thought that it felt smaller. Still good, still shoots great. Was a little bit snappier than I remember it shooting with the grip tape. So I think also that it was really cold when I was shooting, and I'll leave that footage in, but it shot great, very, very good texturing, but it just seemed to be a little bit smaller than I remember it being, and that's because of the grip tape. I removed the grip tape, and then he stippled it. So guys, I hope that was helpful for you if you're thinking about stippling or going grip tape, or maybe even you're thinking about using silicone carbide and going the permanent route with that. I hope this helps. If you want more information on grip tape, I've got a video on that. Just check back into my past videos and you'll see. And then, of course, if you have any questions or comments, don't forget to leave them below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.